Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Othello by William Shakespeare. Come, let's go to the summary. The main characters of this play are Othello, who is the hero, and Desdemona, Othello's wife and the main female character of the play, and Iago, the main villain of this play, and we have Michael Cassio, who is the lieutenant of Othello. He is a young, handsome and a very good person in this play. And we have Emilia, who is the wife of Iago, and Rodrigo, who is a rich man who wants to marry Desdemona. And we have Bianca, who is a prostitute with whom Cassio has a very close relationship. And we have Brabantio, who is the father of Desdemona, and Duke of Venice, and Montano, who is the governor of Cyprus. And when the play begins, we find that Rodrigo and Iago are having an argument, and this argument is because Rodrigo wants to marry Desdemona, so he has been giving a lot of money to Iago to help him to marry Desdemona. But now they come to know that Desdemona has secretly married Othello, so they are having an argument. And Iago also hates Othello because he was expecting the lieutenant position, but that position was given to Michael Cassio, who is an inexperienced soldier. But Othello had made him as the lieutenant. And so Iago also hates Othello and he is also jealous of him. And then what happens is they hide themselves and shout so that Desdemona's father Brabantio can hear them, and they say that Desdemona has married Othello. And hearing this, Brabantio goes and searches for his daughter, and he finds that his daughter is missing. So he goes in search of Othello. Here in Othello's place, Cassio comes and gives him a message saying that the Duke wants Othello to meet him immediately because the Turks are coming to invade Cyprus, so Othello has to go there. His help is needed there. At that time, Brabantio also comes along with Rodrigo and others, and they all accuse Othello of stealing Desdemona using witchcraft. And when they find out that Othello is going to meet the Duke, Brabantio also decides that he will go along with him and tell to the Duke what Othello has done in the assembled Senate. But what happens in the Senate is when they listen to Othello's story, they become very sympathetic towards him. And Othello says that he did not use any witchcraft to attract Desdemona, but when he just told her about his stories of adventure in travel and war, and that is what attracted Desdemona, and that is why she married him. At the same time, Desdemona also comes there and she says that she married Othello because she loved him and she was impressed by his bravery, and she only chose to marry him. Hearing all this, Brabantio gets frustrated and he leaves, and the Duke asks Othello to leave to Cyprus immediately. Hearing this, Desdemona says that since she is now his wife, she also wants to accompany her husband, and they all start together but in different ships. And now we find in Cyprus, Montano, who is the governor of Cyprus, is there with two gentlemen near the seashore, and they get a message that the Turks who wanted to attack them, they got caught in the storm and their ship is wrecked. So now Cyprus is free. At the same time, Cassio, he arrives in the first ship, and in the next ship, Iago, Rodrigo, Desdemona and Emilia, who is Iago's wife and Desdemona's maid, they all come. And they can see Othello's ship coming in the far little bit distance. So they are waiting for Othello also to come there. And when they are waiting, Cassio goes and greets Desdemona. And what he does is, when he is greeting her, he claps her hand. And Iago watches this and he decides that he will use this hand holding of Cassio itself to take revenge on him and get rid of him. Then Othello comes there, and when he comes to know that Cyprus is now free, they decide to celebrate the safety of Cyprus from the Turks. And after everyone leaves, Iago talks with Rodrigo and he says that soon Desdemona will lose her interest with Othello, and she is a person who will definitely seek sexual satisfaction elsewhere. But at the same time, he says that this elsewhere can also be Cassio. And for that, Rodrigo asks what he can do to eliminate Cassio. Iago tells Rodrigo to have a fight with Cassio and disgrace him in front of everyone. And after Rodrigo goes, Iago says that eliminating Cassio is his first step to take revenge on Othello. And on that night, what happens is, as planned, Iago gets Cassio drunk and he sends Rodrigo to fight with him. And Rodrigo goes and he provokes Cassio, and Cassio chases Rodrigo. At that time, the governor Montego comes there and he tries to hold Cassio down, and Cassio, who is fully drunk, he stabs the governor. Now immediately Iago asks Rodrigo to raise an alarm because the governor is stabbed. And hearing the alarm, Othello comes there and Iago tells him what happened. Hearing this, Othello gets very angry and he removes off the lieutenant rank from Cassio. Now Cassio is extremely upset, and without knowing that Iago is the main villain, he goes and laments to Iago itself. And Iago says to Cassio that in order to get back his lieutenant position and also for getting back Othello's good graces, he must use Desdemona as his person to go and explain to Othello, because that will be the best place, because he is only now married Desdemona, so definitely listen to whatever she says. And afterwards, when he is alone, Iago tells that he is definitely going to frame as though Cassio and Desdemona are lovers, and he is going to make Othello jealous, and this will ruin Othello. And then we find that Cassio tries to get into the good books of Othello, so he sends some musicians to play music beneath Othello's window, but Othello chases them away. And then he thinks that meeting Desdemona is the only way to approach Othello, so he asks a clown to send Emilia, who is Desdemona's maid, to him. And then Iago also meets Cassio and says that he will help him, and in order to help him, he says, I will take away Othello to some other place, and that time Desdemona will be alone and you can speak with her privately. And as said, Iago takes away Othello, and Cassio meets Desdemona and he tells his situation to her. And hearing about him, Desdemona feels very sorry for him, and she promises that she will do everything to make Othello forgive him. And when Cassio is leaving, Othello and Iago return. And Othello notices Cassio leaving from Desdemona's room from a far off places, and he inquires whether it is actually Cassio who is going from his wife's room. And Iago says that it must be Iago, because he has heard many people saying that Cassio and Desdemona are involved in an affair. And what happens is, as soon as Othello comes back, Desdemona immediately starts talking about Cassio and asks Othello to make him the lieutenant again. And this confirms Othello's suspicion that his wife is unfaithful to him. And that day when Desdemona comes to call Othello for suffering, she finds for supper, she finds him suffering from fever, and she offers a handkerchief to him to wrap around his head. But he finds a handkerchief too small, and so he drops it on the floor. That time Emilia, who is Iago's wife, she comes there and she takes the handkerchief, and she mentions that Iago has been telling her to steal Desdemona's hanky for a long time, and so now she'll make him happy by giving this hanky to him, and she gives a handkerchief to Iago. And Iago takes his handkerchief and he puts it in Cassio's room, and he is now planning to make this as an evidence to prove that Desdemona is having an affair with Cassio. Next, when Othello meets Iago and asks him how did he say that his wife is unfaithful to him, and how can he say that Cassio and Desdemona are having an affair, Iago says that he has seen Cassio wipe his beard with Desdemona's handkerchief, and this handkerchief is the first gift that Othello gave it to Desdemona. And hearing this, Othello says that he will definitely take vengeance on his wife and also on Cassio, and Iago tells him that he will help him in taking his revenge on his wife and Cassio. Then next time when Othello meets Desdemona, he asks her about this hanky, and she says that she has lost it. And to change the topic, she again continues to talk about Cassio, and this irritates Othello and he leaves that place immediately. And here Cassio finds an hanky in his chamber, and he wonders who would have dropped it there. At that time, Bianca, who is a prostitute, she comes there, and Cassio has been meeting her very often. And when Bianca comes there, he asks her to make a copy of its embroidery for him in another hanky. And here Iago keeps on talking about Desdemona and Cassio, and Othello becomes very jealous, and it goes to an extent that he even gets a fit of epilepsy and falls down. And when he is on the ground, Cassio comes there, but Iago asks him to come after a few minutes so that they can talk. And after Othello recovers, he tells him that he has planned to meet Cassio, and he asks Othello to hide in a nearby place and to hear the story of Desdemona and Cassio's affair. He says that you can find that Cassio himself will tell about his affair with Desdemona. So Othello stands in a far off place, but before talking with Cassio, Iago starts talking about Bianca, and then he continues the talk so that Othello can overhear them talking, but he does not know that they are talking about Bianca, and he thinks they are talking about Desdemona. And Cassio also laughs and confirms about Bianca's craziness about him. And at that time what happens is Bianca also enters with Desdemona's handkerchief, and she shouts at Cassio for asking her to make a copy of the embroidery of an hanky which was given as a love token to him from by another woman, and she throws at him and she goes off. At this time what happens is Desdemona enters the place, and she comes with another general, Lodovico, who gives a letter to Othello, where in that letter it's mentioned that he should come to Venice immediately, and Cassio will be replacing him here. Seeing all this, Othello gets very angry, and he thinks that Desdemona is trying to promote Cassio, and he strikes Desdemona and walks out. And that night Othello accuses Desdemona of being a whore, and she protests but he ignores her, and even Emilia comes there and she says that Desdemona is innocent. And that time what happens is Othello gets very angry and he walks out, and Iago comes there, and finding Desdemona in tears, he says that Othello is upset about the matters of the state and everything will be alright in a few more days. And later that night Othello tells Desdemona to wait for him alone and send away Emilia. And what happens here is Iago also meets Rodrigo and tells him that everything is going on as planned, and only thing is Rodrigo must kill Cassio if he does not want any other rival for him, if he wants to marry Desdemona. But what happens is Rodrigo misses Cassio and Cassio wounds him, and seeing that Iago comes there and he wounds Cassio and he runs away. And Cassio cries out of pain, and Othello hears his cry, and he decides that Iago had already promised him that he will eliminate Cassio, and so Iago has killed Cassio according to the promise which he has made. And here what happens is Iago comes after some time, and he finds that Rodrigo is already wounded, and now in order to put the blame on Cassio, he murders Rodrigo. And here Cassio has actually been taken away so that his wound will be dressed up. Meanwhile, here Othello decides that he has to eliminate Desdemona also there. So he goes and stands over his sleeping wife in their bed chamber. And when he's preparing to kill her, Desdemona wakes up and she understands that Othello is trying to kill her, and she tells him that she is innocent. But Othello does not listen to her, and he chokes her to death. At that time what happens is Emilia enters with the news that Rodrigo is dead. And Othello asks if Cassio is also dead, but she says no, he is not dead, he is just wounded. And Desdemona, who is already choked to death, at the moment when she is going to die, she just tells Emilia that she has committed suicide. But not believing her, Emilia asks Othello what had happened, and Othello tells her that he has killed Desdemona because she was having an affair with Cassio, and he says that it was Iago who brought this to his attention. At that time, Montano, Graziano and Iago come to that room, and Iago tries to make his wife Emilia keep quiet. And now Emilia understands that Iago has played all these tricks in order to create all this disaster. And at first Othello tries to say that Iago has only told her the truth, and for that he says about the handkerchief as an evidence. Hearing this, Emilia tells him that she was the one who found the handkerchief and gave it to Iago. Now Othello realizes the truth, and he gets crushed and he begins to weep. And he tries to kill Iago, but others catch hold of him. But Iago kills of Emilia and he runs away from there. But he is caught by Lodovico and Montano, and they bring him back as a captive. At the same time, Cassio also comes there, and Othello somehow frees himself and he goes and wounds Iago. And Lodovico tells Othello that since he has done all this, he has to come to Venice to be tried. But Othello says that he knows that he has killed innocent Desdemona and he does not wish to live anymore, and he kills himself with a sword. And the play closes with Lodovico ordering Iago to be executed. This is the story of Othello. If you have anything more to add on to this, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Only then you will get the notification of all my videos when I upload them. Thank you.